Poetic G. Beautiful love, always.
Good evening, ladies and gents. I'm King George. I'm the owner of TY Productions. I am the curator of Black 31 magazine. Today we are here on the line with another special brother from the community. This brother right here is the owner of Bailey Multimedia Group. This brother right here is a book author of several different books. This brother is a podcast host, and also this brother is deep rooted within the streets, and he has a story. So most importantly, can we please give it up for the brother Fruquan Bailey? Let's go.
Thank you, brother. Greatly
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Yo, Cheese, what's poppin'? I see you in the building. How you doing, brother? How you doing, King George?
How you feeling, brother? How you feeling, man? So
I'm highly blessed and favored.
Yes, I love it. So first and foremost, right? I just want to know, and the people want to know, most importantly, who is Fruquan Bailey?
Who is Fruquan Bailey? Fruquan Bailey, I'm a native New Yorker. Brooklyn, New York at that. Brooklyn stand up. I was conceived in Brownsville. I was raised in Bed-Stuy. I'm the first child, the first living child. I'm the first living child of my mother and father, who were both deeply rooted in the streets of Brownsville, New York. Rest in peace to Fruquan. Shout out to my old dad, Fruquan. They were heavy in the streets of Brownsville. They had a reputation. And me being my father's first child and being named after my father, you could pretty much say I came up in the streets as well. I ended up in Bed-Stuy with my grandmoms, and I grew up like every other kid, being bad in the 80s, you know what I'm saying, experiencing all that the 80s had to offer, because I don't believe there would ever be an era better than the 80s. I was a kid in the 80s, and I absorbed all that, and I think the 80s was what led me to my first pair of handcuffs. So I did a juvenile bid in 87 at the age of 13 years old. I pretty much was in and out of the juvenile system my first few years of puberty, from the age of 13 to 16. Within them 3 years, I might have did 3 juvenile bids.
Yes.
All for petty robberies and things of that nature. By the time I became a teenager in the streets of New York, 16, 17, nothing changed. I was still ripping, running the streets, doing what I do. I'm out of Lafayette Gardens, Brooklyn, New York. LG, salute, stand up, free world, rest in peace, Wise, rest in peace, Big Nut. Ripping and running the streets at a teenage age, ended me up on Racket Island for the first time.
Yeah.
And Racket Island, I served a city bid 8 months out of a year. I came home from that, and I entertained the relationship. It's funny I'm saying this because right now Papoose like a type. I entertained the relationship with a person who I liked a certain type, and that shit went south quick and ended up costing me a lot of pain and a lot of suffering. You know what I'm saying? It led to a lot of nonsense. But if you read World and Wise, the CMB story, you'll get to absorb all that. You know what I'm saying? We might have to double back for another interview where you read the book and you get to question me on some of those things. But I ended up accidentally taking the life of a friend. There was a lot of drama behind my incident and my crime.
Yeah.
A lot, but you would have to read the book to get the details. And if any of your viewers read the book, they know exactly what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Tut. I see Tut in the building. Shout out OG. Tut is tapped in. Yeah, like I said, if you read the book, you'll get more in depth on what went down with my crime. But I ended up spending 23 years in prison. I went in at the age of 17 and came home when I was 40. I came home in 2014. And since then, I've been trying to find my way. You know, came home, had to get employed. You know how that go, because I left when I was 17, so I ain't never had a job. So I had to come home, get employed. I also had to come home and find my hustle and find my grind. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't believe one paycheck is going to do it. And my hustle and my grind led me to open into my first venture as an entrepreneur, which was Janique's Boutique, which was an online clothing boutique catered to females and children. After online, I eventually opened a physical location for Janique's Boutique. I ended up closing that and moving on to something which was much bigger than Janique's Boutique. I opened up, I ventured off and I invested in what is now After 9 Sports Bar and Lounge in Charlotte, North Carolina. Once again, After 9 Sports Bar and Lounge in Charlotte, North Carolina on the east side. I'm an entrepreneur. The business has been open now 5 or 6 months. It's doing pretty well. Started my own podcast on the strength that I did some great interviews with St. Laz. Shout out to St. Laz.
Yeah.
I did some great interviews with St. Laz a few years ago.
Yeah.
And that led to me creating my own podcast that I let my boy Mano talk me into doing, which I've done. And you know, it's been the up and down ride with the podcast, you know, trying to get my subscribers right, trying to get my views right. But like I said, I don't believe in one paycheck pay the bills, so I got various hustles. I do not depend on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? YouTube is a form of entertainment, and the Real Big Fruit podcast is very entertaining, so make sure y'all tap into that. Absolutely. And then lastly, within the past 4 months, I've penned 2, not 1, but 2 amazing non-fiction, true story, tell-all urban novels. The first one is World and Wise, the C&B story. Y'all got that? That's the hood story. Y'all got to have that in your collection. If you talk hood politics, you read hood magazines, you into urban culture, and you want to know what's going on in the streets of Brooklyn, New York, Lafayette Gardens to be exact, you must have a copy of World and Wise, the C&B story based on true events. And the second book that I penned, which is My Heart, rest in peace to all my crimies. I wrote this for the homies. It's called The Boys of C-74, Rikers Island Legends. Both books are available on Amazon.com as well as Barnes & Noble's bookstores. There you have it. Now, let's get into shaking bed, bro.
Oh, that's heavy. That's heavy, man. That's heavy. So